Right there guys, this is Cob and welcome back to Dueling with Cob. This is of course the series in which I duel you guys, then give some commentary of the clips. It has been way too long since I've had the time to make a dueling episode of this series, so I want to give a very quick, but still a very eager thank you to everyone supporting me on Patreon. You're making it happen. It blows my mind every day, but more on that in the upcoming Sunday's episode. For now, let's get right into the duels. The first set of 1v1s are against Knack, the Frost Mage, and I've got to be honest, I hate fighting up against a good Frost Mage, as Destro spec, their mobility and their instant cast damage just makes me sad. So I see through this deep freeze here, and the first thing I want to do is get a Havoc up on his mini elemental to get me some easy embers, though it does take a second as the little YOLO is tiny. I get pretty lucky here by coiling his frozen orb, and I was really just hoping to fear him. He blocks it offensively, and because he has cooldowns popped, I know that means that the pain is coming. I don't want to use my heals just yet because I don't have any embers to tunnel into my dark regen. So I pop Unending Resolve, then pretty much have to pop Bargain on top of that. In hindsight, it was rather stupid of me to just stand in the frozen orb, but I definitely should have just portaled out of that. I really want to land some damage here, but he trinkets the fear, blanket silences me, and now I have to use my heals, so it's fair to say abuse has been dealt upon me at this stage. Things are looking pretty grim. If I had more health, I would have been doing everything I could at this point to try and land some more damage on Knack while he has hypothermia up, but I'm pretty much dead. I have no choice other than to try and recover some hit points, so I hit his elemental to try and build an ember, and I'm actually able to shadow burn the git. I then get off a sly eat, and I wouldn't normally condone such vile acts in a gentleman's duel, but desperate times call for desperate measures, so I eat some cake. I put up a Twilight Ward, then right click it to remove it off of myself, hoping that Knack will waste a global cooldown, spell stealing out of Invis, but I promptly find myself in a deep freeze, and with no defensive left, I just drink it. I actually portal after him here. I wanted to land a Howl, but I bottle out and go for a coil into a Fear, and with Dark Soul up, I'm pretty certain that he's going to Ice Block here. He does, and then when he comes out, it's basically going to be up to one of us to finish the duel. I Havoc his elemental, then I Spell Lock him into a Fear. But of course, it is DR'd, and he actually Spell Stole my Backdraft, which was really well played by him. There was no way I was going to get that Curse pulled off right there, so it's him who's going to land his pair sequence and take a well-deserved win. This next duel starts off in quite a similar way. We both end up silencing one another at the same time. Not cool, as I was really hoping I could land an early Fear with that. I want to play a lot more aggressive in this duel, and I want to avoid his damage a little bit better. I get the all-important Havoc up on his elemental, then I just go YOLO mode with a very early Dark Soul. I also use Unending Resolve, which in some ways wasn't so good as his counterspell was already on cooldown, but it does make me feel confident enough to push in, get him around half health, then force his first Ice Block with a Mortal Coil. I probably didn't even have to use the Unending Resolve there though. It means I'm going to have to work overtime later on in order to survive. And now it is his turn. I portal away when I get Nova here. I know that he wants to go ham, so I Spell Lock him and manage to silence him on his Frozen Orb and land a Fear off of that, and this is just so good for me. It's going to save me from a lot of pain for sure. I do go for some damage off of that, but he does use Alter Time, so I can't get too much work done here. So as well as my heals, I decide to bargain as well because I know that this Alter Time is going to reset a lot of his damage procs. He starts casting Evocation right here, and I don't have Spell Lock ready, so I summon a fresh Fell Hunter with Flames of Zoroth to lock him out on that, and this is awesome for me because he's locked on Arcane, so I know that he can't Spell Lock me for 6 seconds. I use that time to land some damage, but Knack is really smart about this, and he actually holds onto his Ice Block. He locks me down and pummels me with Ice Lances. Things get really tight here. He blocks, and I survive, but only thanks to a couple of Ember Taps, and it just turns into a slugfest once he's out of the block. The IRL ass clenching was real, but with a blanket Spell Lock, I'm just about able to take the win. Awesome duels. This next duel is against Lorantha, and it was pretty sweet even though I'm only going to be showing the one. I feel like Hunter versus Warlock duels are kind of always playing out in a similar way, but this one was really good. He actually tries to flare my pet out of Invis, which is why I was moving all over the place, and then when he opens, pretty standard, I'm going to try and pet seduce as quickly as possible. I then tried to Havoc his pet, but somehow it managed to land on the Hunter, so I target my first few spells onto his pet instead just to duplicate them. And as you can see, I've already used Dark Soul. These duels are always a bit of a damage race, I feel. However, I do stall my Howl of Terror a tiny bit here, and Lorantha is able to deterrence my Fear, so I won't be landing any Chaos Bolts during this. Out of this though, I throw out a bit more Dark Soul damage, and then Duke and Immolate, pop Unending Resolve, and I'm able to immune his silencing shot. Now I'm pretty low, so I use Dark Bargain on top of this, just so I can focus on pumping out damage, and I do still have my heals ready to go out of this, so I'm confident that I can just take the win right here. The second deterrence doesn't come out from Lorantha, but I guess he was going balls to the wall here too. And this final bunch of duels are against a Warlock called Lidar. I feel destruction versus destruction duels are best when allowed to just play through, so I won't be slowing these clips down a lot, hopefully. You can see I have Havoc up on his pet, and my own pet is positioned at a good distance away from me, and this is just to make sure he doesn't get caught in any Shadow Furies or Fears, so he's always going to be ready to spell lock if I get stunned. Lidar lobs out an Infernal, which is a little bit crazy, but I was okay with it. I'm actually going to be using it to get extra embers a little bit later on with Havoc. Right here he pushes in towards me, so I blanket silence him and pet sack just to avoid getting feared. Then I land my own Howl of Terror, but I'm ready for him to break this, so I instantly spell lock and fear him again after he uses Will. I pop Dark Soul here to free cast a little bit of damage, try and dodge his Shadow Fury, but he does manage to land it and go for some damage of his own, so I pop Unending Resolve just to reduce the incoming damage and give myself an Aura Mastery, and that's so I can make the most of the rest of my Dark Soul, so 2 birds with 1 stone. He has a bargain, so I don't spend too much time damaging, I instead Havoc his Infernal, just to build up some extra embers here. Then I see I'm getting low and I have 4 embers built. I don't want to overbuild them, I might as well spend them, it's more efficient that way, so I decide to just pop my heals. Then I see that the Shadow Fury is coming back, I don't want to rely on dodging it, so what I do is resummon my Fell Hunter, then I distance myself from him, so that when the Shadow Fury comes out, I'm able to land a spell lock and stay healthy. And from this point on, I'm able to use the last of my Dark Soul with a Shadow Fury of my own to take the win. This next duel is equally good. There's actually a couple of Shadow Fury dodges here from both of us, and even though I do miss a pretty horrible Howl of Terror, I do think that it's worthy to be played out with music alone. And that about does it for this week's episode of Dueling with Cobb. It is awesome to have it back. I was going to revamp it, and I might still do it in the future, but for now I think that the old school version is good enough. So thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate you all stopping by. Remember to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Send me a private message here or on Facebook with your battle tag, and a link to your armory if you want to take part in the series Stay Destro, and I'm going to catch you all a little bit later.
Ready, aim, fire.